The rain poured heavily as Ada sat by the window, watching the drops race each other down the glass. It was supposed to be a normal day, but everything changed in the blink of an eye. Her father had gone out to work, like he always did. But instead of coming home with his big smile, the news came. "Ada, Daddy is gone," Mama whispered, her eyes red and swollen. "Gone?" Ada didn't understand. Where did he go? She waited and waited for him to come back, but he never did. At his funeral, Ada held onto Mama's hand tightly, staring at the wooden box that held her father. Her heart ached in a way she couldn't explain. That night, she sat on her little bed, hugging her teddy bear. "Daddy," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Why did you leave me?" Her room felt empty. Her world felt quiet, and her little heart was broken. But even in her sadness, Ada made a promise to herself. She would find a way to talk to him, even if he wasn't here anymore. The idea came to Ada one quiet afternoon. She was sitting in her father's favorite chair, holding a piece of paper and a pencil. "If I can't talk to Daddy, maybe I can write to him," she thought. She began her letter with shaky hands. "Dear Daddy, I miss you so much. Mama is very sad, and I don't know how to make her happy. I wish you were here to tell me what to do. I started school last week. My teacher is nice, but I don't like sitting alone during lunch. Do you remember how we used to eat together? I love you, Daddy. Please don't forget me." She folded the letter neatly and asked Mama to take her to the cemetery. "Why do you want to go there, Ada?" Mama asked, but Ada just shrugged. At the cemetery, Ada placed her letter carefully by her father's grave. "This is for you, Daddy," she whispered. "Please read it." As she walked away, she felt a tiny bit lighter, as if she had shared her feelings with him. She didn't expect an answer, but for the first time in weeks, she smiled, feeling close to her father again. After that day, writing letters to her father became Ada's new routine. Every Sunday, she would sit down with her pencil and paper and pour out her heart. She wrote about her struggles, her dreams, and her love for him. "Dear Daddy, today I drew a picture of us at school. It's you, me, and Mama under the mango tree. Do you remember that tree? I miss climbing it with you." Ada always folded her letters carefully, placed them in an envelope, and walked to the cemetery with Mama. She would kneel by the grave, say a little prayer, and leave the letter. It made her feel close to him, as though he was still watching over her. Mama noticed Ada's routine but didn't say much. She was glad her daughter had found a way to cope, even though it made her own heart ache. One Sunday, as Ada placed her letter on the grave, a gentle breeze brushed her cheek. It felt like a kiss. "Daddy, is that you?" she whispered, her eyes wide. For the first time, she wondered if maybe, just maybe, her letters were reaching him. One Sunday, Ada wrote her longest letter yet. "Dear Daddy, I feel lonely sometimes. Mama is always busy, and I wish you were here to play with me. I told my teacher about you, and she said you must be very proud of me. Are you proud, Daddy? I love you so much." She folded the letter carefully, placed it in her little pink envelope, and went to the cemetery with Mama. Like always, she laid it gently on the grave and whispered, "This is for you, Daddy." The next week, when Ada returned with a new letter, she noticed something strange. The old letter was gone. Her tiny heart skipped a beat. "Mama, did you take the letter?" she asked, her voice trembling. "No, Ada. Why would I do that?" Mama replied, looking confused. Ada stared at the empty grave. "Did Daddy take it?" she whispered to herself. She looked up at the sky. her eyes wide with hope. Maybe Daddy is reading my letters, she thought. Her small chest filled with excitement. If he was taking them, maybe he would write back. The thought made her heart feel warm. She couldn't wait to write again. That night, Ada lay awake in her bed, thinking about the missing letter. She stared at the stars through her window. "If you're reading them, Daddy, please tell me," she whispered. The next Sunday, Ada hurried to the cemetery with another letter. She knelt by the grave and placed it carefully on the ground. She hesitated for a moment, her tiny hands trembling. "I hope you write back, Daddy," she whispered. When she returned the following week, her little mouth dropped open in surprise. There was a new letter, folded neatly and tucked under a small rock by the grave. Her hands shook as she picked it up. On the outside, it read, "To my little Ada." She opened it carefully, her eyes wide with wonder. "Dear Ada, I am always watching over you. You are my brave, beautiful girl. Keep writing to me. I love you." Daddy tears filled her eyes as she clutched the letter to her chest. "Daddy wrote back," she cried, her heart bursting with joy. She ran to Mama but stopped short. This felt like a secret between her and Daddy. For now, she decided to keep it to herself. Ada couldn't stop smiling all week. She held the letter tightly and read it over and over again. She couldn't believe it. Her daddy had written back. She decided to write an even longer letter that Sunday. "Dear Daddy, I'm so happy you wrote to me. I knew you wouldn't forget me. I miss you every day. Mama misses you too, but she's always so quiet. Maybe you can tell her you're watching over us. I'll keep writing to you forever. I love you, Daddy." This time, as she left the letter by his grave, she added a tiny drawing of herself and her father holding hands. When she walked away, her heart felt lighter, like her daddy was right there with her. The following week, Ada found another letter waiting for her. It read, "Dear Ada, thank you for writing to me. I love the drawing. You are so talented. Always stay brave and kind, my little princess. I'm proud of you, Daddy." Ada laughed with joy. "I knew it. Daddy is proud of me," she whispered to herself. For the first time in weeks, she didn't feel so alone. Mama noticed Ada's excitement. She smiled as Ada hummed a little tune while coloring at the table. It was the happiest she had been since her father's death. "What's making you so cheerful, Ada?" Mama asked one evening. "Nothing, Mama," Ada said quickly, hiding the letters in her backpack. Mama frowned. She didn't want to pry, but she worried about Ada's new habit of going to the cemetery every week. Maybe it helps her feel close to him, Mama thought. One day, Mama followed Ada quietly to the cemetery. She watched from a distance as Ada knelt by the grave and whispered something before walking away. After Ada left, Mama walked to the grave and saw the neatly folded letter Ada had left. Her heart ached as she read the words. "She's still holding on to him," Mama whispered, her eyes filling with tears. "But how do I help her let go?" Ada continued writing letters every week. Every time she returned to the grave, she found another letter waiting for her. The handwriting looked just like her father's. "Dear Ada, I love hearing about your week. You make me so proud. Always remember, you are my sunshine. Daddy." Ada beamed as she read the words. But deep down, a little voice in her mind wondered, how is Daddy writing these letters? She didn't know the answer, but she didn't care. As long as she could keep talking to him, she was happy. At school, Ada told her best friend Chioma about the letters. "My daddy writes back to me," she said proudly. "Wow, really?" Kioma asked, her eyes wide. Yes, but it's a secret, Ada said, holding a finger to her lips. Kioma promised not to tell, but even she started to wonder how Ada's father could write letters from heaven. One Sunday, Mama stayed behind at the cemetery after Ada left. She wanted to see who was taking the letters. She hid behind a tree, her heart pounding as she waited. A few minutes later, a figure appeared. It was the old groundskeeper, Mr. Bassi. He picked up Ada's letter, smiled sadly, and slipped it into his pocket. Mama stepped out from her hiding spot. Mr. Bassi, what are you doing with my daughter's letters? She asked, her voice shaking. Mr. Bassi looked embarrassed. I didn't mean any harm, he said. I wanted to help Ada feel close to her father. She looked so heartbroken. Mama didn't know what to say. She was grateful for Mr. Bassi's kindness, but she also worried about how Ada would feel if she found out the truth. Mama wrestled with what to do. Should she tell Ada the truth? Or should she let her believe that her father was replying to her? That evening, as Mama watched Ada writing another letter, she couldn't bring herself to ruin her daughter's happiness. Maybe this is helping her heal, Mama thought. She decided to keep the secret for now. Ada's next letter was different. Dear Daddy, I have a wish. Can you make Mama smile again? She's always sad. I think she misses you a lot. If you can, send her a letter too. I love you, Daddy. When Mr. Bassi read the letter, his heart broke. He decided to do something special for Ada and her mother. The next week, Ada returned to the grave and found 2 letters. One for her and one for Mama. Ada ran home excitedly and handed the second letter to Mama. Daddy wrote to you, Mama, she said, her eyes shining. Mama opened the letter slowly. Dear love, I see how strong you are for Ada. Thank you for taking care of her. You're an amazing mother. Stay strong for our little girl. I'm always with you. Forever yours. Mama burst into tears. She hugged Ada tightly, feeling a warmth she hadn't felt in months. From that day on, Mama joined Ada in writing letters to Daddy. They would leave them together at the grave and share their memories of him. Slowly, their bond grew stronger, and the sadness in their home began to lift. Mr. Bassi introduced himself to Ada one day. Your daddy would be so proud of you, he said gently. Ada smiled, not knowing his role in the letters. Thank you, she replied. On Ada's 7th birthday, she found a special letter waiting for her at the grave. Inside was a drawing of a crown and the words, Happy birthday, my princess. The letters became a source of healing for both Ada and Mama. They felt closer to Daddy than ever before, even though he was gone. One day, Ada asked Mama, How does Daddy send letters from heaven? Mama hesitated, unsure how to answer. Ada and Mama planted the tree near her father's grave. It was a small mango tree, just like the one they used to sit under together. This is our special tree, Daddy, Ada whispered, patting the soil around it. Every week, Ada and Mama brought water for the tree. As the leaves grew, so did their bond. Ada started to smile more, and Mama felt lighter in her heart. This tree will remind us of Daddy's love, Mama said one day, as they watched the little mango tree swaying in the breeze. One day, Ada wrote a new kind of letter. Dear Daddy, we planted a tree for you. It's small now, but it will grow big and strong, just like you were. I hope you like it. I'll take good care of it. Love, Ada. She placed the letter under the tree instead of on the grave. When she returned the next week, she found a little drawing of a mango on a piece of paper tucked under the tree's roots. Daddy loves our tree, Ada said excitedly. Mama smiled, knowing Mr. Bassi had left the drawing. Ada decided to tell Kioma about the tree and the letters. Kioma listened carefully and said, "You're so lucky, Ada. Even though your daddy isn't here, he still loves you so much." Ada nodded. "And I'll keep loving him forever." One day, Mr. Bassi sat with Ada by the tree. "Ada, I want you to know something," he said gently. "Your daddy may not be here, but his love is all around you. That's why I've been helping you with the letters." Ada looked at him with wide eyes. "So you made the drawings and wrote the letters?" "Yes, but everything I wrote came from my heart. I know how much your daddy loved you," he said. Ada thought for a moment. "Thank you, Mr. Bassi," she said softly. "You made me feel like Daddy was still here." Ada hugged Mr. Bassi tightly. "I forgive you," she said. "Daddy would have liked you." From that day, Mr. Bassi became a part of their little family. He helped care for the tree and shared stories about Ada's father. As the tree grew taller, so did Ada's confidence. She started sharing her stories at school, telling her classmates about her letters to her father and the tree they had planted. "Your story is beautiful," her teacher said one day. "It shows how much love can heal." Other families at the cemetery noticed the tree and started planting their own. The once lonely graveyard became a place full of life and hope, with children playing under the trees and families sharing stories of loved ones. Mama started smiling more often. She began telling Ada funny stories about her father, and they laughed together. "Daddy would want us to be happy," Mama said one evening. Ada nodded. "And we will be? For him." One morning, Ada ran to the cemetery and saw something that made her heart leap with joy. The mango tree had its first fruit. She picked the ripe mango and held it close. "This is for you, Daddy," she said, smiling. When she got home, she shared the mango with Mama. "It's sweet, just like Daddy," Ada said. On the anniversary of her father's passing, Ada wrote one final letter. "Dear Daddy, I love you and miss you every day. But I know you're always with me, in my heart, in our tree, and in the smiles you gave me. Thank you for being my daddy. Forever your little princess." Ada, she placed the letter under the tree and watched the leaves sway in the wind. It felt like a hug from her father. From that day on, Ada didn't feel sad when she thought of her daddy. She felt love, hope, and the strength to keep going. The tree stood tall, a reminder of a bond that could never be broken.